Happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome to Unity of Birmingham, where every soul is awakened to its divine nature. Our announcements for today, we will have Matt Venuti on April 19th here at Unity at 6 p.m. On May 18th, we'll have Charlene Parker. She's going to teach us how to make a charcuterie board. Also, those who had the opportunity to come out on Friday, Sherry did an awesome job with the Spring Equinox sound bath. It was really beautiful. So thank you, Sherry, when you listen to this. And prayers go out to Miss Marietta, praying that she makes a speedy recovery. Also, we have Grace Klein, a box outside for donations for food. And that's all the announcements that I have for today. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. As you settle in for affirmative prayer, I'd like to read today's daily word and also remind everyone next week we'll have copies of March and April's daily word to get us started. I think that it's important to have something powerful to kind of start your day with, so I want to get us back in the habit of, I'm sure you all are reading and spiritually studying, but add the daily word to your library. We'll have copies for everybody next week. But today's daily word is joy, and the quote is, "Joy fills my heart and warms my soul." And with that, take a nice relaxing breath as we allow ourselves to move into the space of affirmative prayer. In this sacred space, we give thanks for the presence of life that is here in this ministry. We're grateful to be able to come together as a spiritual community and affirm peace in order to demonstrate to the world and to ourselves that peace is possible. We're grateful to be of service on today, and we allow the presence of life, the presence of wisdom and joy and love to move through the service, blessing and enriching all of us as force multipliers so that we may go forth and share that same energy with the world. We speak blessings on our week that is ahead, knowing that all is in divine order. We speak blessings on those that are watching online and soon to be watching online. We give thanks that the presence of God is already here. We move out of the way and we allow God to be. Collectively we say, and so it is. Amen.
Everybody stand. Help me out. We gather together to ask the Lord's blessing. We chasten and hasten the truth to make known. The wicked oppressing now cease from distressing. Sing praise.
Thank you for the stretching. Yeah, we all need that. And so this morning, brothers and sisters, is how good it is to live in the joy of this moment, every moment. So before we get started, I want to do something a little bit different and honor our women who are ancestors now. And begin with the woman who started Unity. And her name, Mary Caroline Page Fillmore, called Myrtle. She was born August 6, 1845, Pagetown, Ohio. So let's take this moment to honor our ancestors who were members of Unity Church here in Birmingham. And I remember Gwen.
Yes.
Let's honor Gwen. And we say Ashe, which is so it is. Any others you remember? Including ministers, former ministers who were here. Well, the women. This is Women History Month, so we want to honor the women. And we can honor the divine the feminine in the man, too, because there's a divine feminine there, because it took a woman and a man to produce each of us
Jane
here.
Bartholow.
Who?
Jane Bartholow.
Jane. Ashe. Who?
Reverend Christine.
Reverend Christine. Ashe.
Catherine Ponder.
Catherine Ponder. Ashe.
Tina Wilson.
Tina Wilson. Ashe, the magnificent vocalist, opera singer. Ashe. Anyone? And I would like to honor some of the other ancestors, like Sojourner Truth. Ashe. Ivy Wells. Ashe. Any others in history you'd like to honor, remember? Your mom, aunties, my mom Rosie, my grandmother Julia, Ashe, Ashe.
Mother Teresa.
Mother Teresa?
Mother Teresa, yeah.
Yes, Ashe. Yes. Someone else?
Annette Reynolds.
Ashe. So we say Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. We always want to take the opportunity to remember, because when we make our transition, we want to be remembered too, right? I know I do. Don't forget Nigel Reeves, Najee. I love to laugh, people. I'm telling you, laughter is so good. And we will, before we get started with our meditation, this is also Ramadan. So I say Ramadan Mubarak for those out there in the video land. Ramadan is celebrated for 30 days, and it's fasting and praying. 5 times a day prayer, fasting during the day, no food. So we honor those who are celebrating Ramadan. So I say, well, Ramadan Mubarak to all. Yeah, Ramadan Mubarak. That's the answer. Or Ramadan Kareem, some say. But some of us say Ramadan Mubarak, the same as the given. We repeat that. And so let's say a prayer in Arabic, which is Al-Fatiha. Al-Fatiha is the beginning of a prayer. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman Rahim Maliki Yawm Madin. Iyaka nabudu wa iyaka nasta'in. Ihdina sirata mustaqim sirata al-zina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim walad-dallin. Amin. Amin. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. And so we just go into our meditation. Let's just take some deep breaths. Get centered. Close your eyes. Hands on your lap, face up. Smile on your faces, just like the sun. Breathe in. Breathe out at your own pace. Just breathe in. If you prefer breathing in through one nostril, out through the other, or breathing in through the nostril, out through the mouth, is just fine. All is breath, all is good. All is good. More breaths. How good it is to be awake, aware.
Recognizing the oneness that is everywhere, that is God, that's everywhere present. We live in, through, and as the goodness and the peace and the joy that is God, that is everywhere. We say yes to living a life that is abundant, that is loving, that is peaceful, that is joy-filled. And we allow the goodness that is God to shine brightly all over us, because it's there whether we see the sun or not. It's always shining. The light is always shining, that is God. Let's take a few minutes to do a little chakra opening. Some say there are 7 chakra energy areas, points, places, but there are more, 12, some say more, 30 something. So let's just focus on the ones that we are familiar with. Beginning with the root chakra. These are energy points that we focus on. The root chakra is in the pelvic area. This is our lower nature. The color is red. Let's just stay there for a few minutes, a few seconds. Focus in that area. Let's go to the sacral area. Opening up. Opening up. The color is orange. Breathe into those areas. That area is below the navel. Next is the solar plexus. The color is yellow. We're going higher in our nature, in our being, in our expression. The solar plexus. Next is the heart area. The color is green. Focus. Everything is energy. Let's just stay there for a few minutes in the heart area. The first organ to develop in the child is the heart. That's where we pour from. To love freely. Visit that area often. Because when it stops beating, that means that we are no longer here in the body. We are one with God at that time. We're one with God after we're in the body. The next area is the throat. That area is blue, indigo. So let's focus on that area, our vocal, how we give voice to our speaking, our speaking the words of love and peace and harmony, all the well-beings. Yes. You can breathe in that area, breathe in the throat and touch the back of throat as you breathe in. The next area is the third eye. You can touch the third eye if you like. I always like to touch that area, third eye. The color is purple. We're moving higher and highest consciousness, right action. Seeing love everywhere. In everyone, that namaste feeling that the God in me recognizes the God in you. The next area is the crown, the top of the head. The color is also purple or white. Let's just stay there. And as we are hanging out in that area, recognize what is the highest energy that is expressed. That is called by many names. We call it God, we call it the Most High, we call it the Great and Holy Spirit, divine intelligence, the thing itself. Thank you, Ernest Holmes, for that. But we call from it, because it is the only, the absolute that we can call from. We hang out in there, in that space, as often as we can. And that's because it is with us all the time. All the time it is with us. It is never absent from us. It is the you in you. It's the I am that I am presence. All that we give, all that we receive, that's from that energy, that consciousness, that awareness, brothers and sisters. So this is a time in history where we get to love more. Whatever is going on in government, we see something higher happening. We see love being expressed. And we shine it brightly now. Don't worry about the things that we feel uncomfortable with. Don't worry about any of that, because we know what we know, and that God is, and we are. And that's all we need to know. That the presence of God is, and always will be, always has been. That's all we need to know, brothers and sisters. Don't worry about no thing, because there's no thing to worry about. We are being who and what we're born to be. Yes. Keep a smile on your face no matter what. God is all there is, and that is you, that is us, the I am presence. So we feel into that. We live that. We live, move, and have our beings in that energy, that space. Nothing else, because there is nothing else. Really, when you really get to sink into that, there's nothing else. Only God, God only. This is a good life, brothers and sisters. Always practice saying, I'm grateful and thankful for this moment. For this moment. It's only the moment. It's only this moment. We'll get to tomorrow. We'll still be in the now moment. Stay in the now. God is all that there is. Oh, and there will never be God. Yes. So we say yes to allowing more love, more peace, more joy, more harmony, more order, more well-beingness, more prosperity to have its way in our lives. So bringing our attention back to this physical space. Open our eyes. Giving praise and thanks to our volunteers. Thank you all so much. You all make it happen here. Our minister, our announcers. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Musician. Thank you. Everyone who's a volunteer, including myself. The volunteers. Thank you so much. May the peace and blessings of God forever be with you. And so it is. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Ashe.
Technology. Take a few moments to stay right there and relax into the moment. The beautiful thing about being comfortable in life is that you learn how to work and flow. If you take everything personal, you'll stay so tied up and twisted up with the things of life until you won't be able to be a vessel for good. People often wonder, how is it that some of the most wisest and awesome people in the world, how are they so humble? Well, the root of humbleness is humiliation. If you've ever been embarrassed before, you learn how to be humble. And then you learn that all things work together for your good because it puts you in touch with your humanness. We can program machines, but life flows people. So you allow yourself, especially on days like this, to be a person. Be a person. Allow everything to be a part of your service. Allow everything to be a part of how you touch the world and how the world touches you. Because sometimes we don't want the world to touch us. It's like, no, get off me. I'm dressed nice today. You will not touch me.
Yes.
You will not impede my destination. I have a plan. I'm going somewhere. And then someone pulls over and their car is damaged and they drive 10 miles an hour, getting in your way. In the words of Sharon Salzberg, you got to learn sometimes that you too are the traffic. You are impeding someone else's destination. So in this space, just to kind of continue the same meditative flow, to allow everything to be a part of the service, we surrender to the spirit of gratitude for the opportunity to come together to ritualize the practice of coming together, which is what our ancestors did for generations, for centuries. Forsake not the gathering of ourselves together. Because in times like these and in future times, we may not realize how important it is to rely on one another, to get out of ourselves and to come and see something. In fact, that's what astral travel is. It's learning to see the world through someone else's eyes. And with that, we take on the spirit of seeing the world in our lives through the eyes of that in which we wish to become. So we allow our minds to open to an awareness of something bigger, better, brighter, in spite of physical limitations. We look not with the eye, but we look through the eye. In this sacred space to continue the meditative consciousness, William Blake says we are often led to believe a lie when we look with and not through the eye of that which was born in the night to perish in the night while the soul sleeps in beams of light. We take the opportunity to not be deceived by appearances, but to let ourselves wake up and become alert, not so that we can become more nervous or anxious, but so that we can do the good that is needed to be done right where we are. And with me, take a big, deep breath into the nose Release the divine sound of ah. Letting go of the weight of the world, knowing that we can put the world down for a second. Practice self-care. Someone else will clock in and do their part too. And so it is. And so it is. If you will rub your hands together, let's send a special blessing to those that are watching online. Say this with me. Divine love, in us, blesses and multiplies all that you hear, all that you have. Know in this moment you are safe and loved. And so it is. Our ministry is supported by partners like you. You all that are watching online are a vital part of our community. Please remember, you can donate to this ministry by logging on to unitybham.org and click on giving. And as always, moderators are always on standby. Wherever you see this message, either on Facebook, YouTube, or our website, we will engage with you and pray for you and your families. And for those that are in the house, if you are in need of prayer support, we have our prayer chaplains here. Put your hands together for all of our prayer chaplains. Join me in an opening affirmation. I was glad. And they said unto me, let us go to the house of spirit. It is a beautiful thing to have the opportunity to come together. Because if we listen to the stuff that just comes our way sometimes, and the stuff that comes out of us, we would stay home, curled up in our beds and in our private cocoons. William Blake also said that when he was referencing community and the stuff of the world, he said, I returned to the garden of love and saw something I had never seen. There was a chapel built there in the space where the grass is green. And he said, in this space, on the chapel, there was a sign on the door that said, thou shalt not. So I decided to return to the place at the Garden of Love where the flowers bore. Coming together as community is a sacred act. It's almost an act of sacred activism because you get the opportunity to step outside of yourself, in the words of William Blake, and see love demonstrated in a way that it's often not depicted. Sometimes love is demonstrated as an aggressive act. You know, sometimes love is demonstrated as this overzealous clinginess, but love is wise and love is patient. And the fact that you all are here today, out of all the places and spaces where you could be on a Sunday morning, I am grateful to be in community with you. Put your hands together just for your being. That is a beautiful thing. And on that note today, today's topic is where the light enters. And we are continuing our theme of divine wisdom. Say this with me, divine wisdom. In honor of the divine feminine, we talked about the presence of the Shekinah and how it moves through life, which is another name for divinity. We talked about various matriarchs through spiritual texts and how they allow the presence of life to move through them. And some of the most powerful matriarchs in spiritual texts are actually unnamed. And the process of naming them comes out of their actions, which shows you the hidden blissfulness in life. That in spite of the world's attempt to take your name away, take away your rights and take away your liberties, the actions, the embodiment of God, the presence of spirit, the presence of love, the presence of wisdom that you are, it shines so bright. So that no matter what the world calls you, your true nature speaks volumes. And although the world may say that this is your name or that's your name, the presence of life within you calls you by another name. Because the names that we have are really the names that our parents gave us. But you are so much bigger than the name that you were called. And when we tune into the divine flow, we use a lot of the jargon and the lingo of spiritual traditions, but when you tune into your authentic self, what I say your authentic self is not to knock our anxious self. It's not to knock our tired self. It's not to knock the self that we are when we go to work between 9 to 5, or if you're retired between 10 and 10. Because some of our retirees work harder than they did when they actually worked 9 to 5.
Yes.
But that self, it shines so, so bright if you would but allow it. So I guess to start off, I would say that today's topic of where the light enters us and comes out of us in so many ways, everybody. It enters us, yes, through pain. It enters us when the circumstances of life brings us to our knees and we see things that we wish we would not have seen. We see people behave the way we wish they would not have behaved. But light also enters into our awareness when we say yes to something higher and something greater. In spite of the difficulties in the world and the polar opposite stuff that we see in society, we say yes to an awareness that there are more people who realize we have more in common than not. After all, we are the same species, even though we don't often act like it. Woof, woof. Canines. So divine wisdom, divine love, the divine feminine, it beckons us to look deeper. And to honor Women's History Month, I want to start off with an author that isn't oftentimes celebrated for her writing, but she's celebrated for her art. Phylicia Rashad. Phylicia Rashad says, and this is powerful, she says, carry the light. And she said, it's easy to do. Out of all of the things in life that you can carry anger, you can carry frustration, you can carry anxiety. But in her most recent interview on The Breakfast Club, she says, carry the light. To quote Jesus, it saying, take my yoke upon you, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. In fact, join me in this affirmation. Take my yoke upon you, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And to kind of play with words this morning, yes, it's light because it's easy to carry, but it's also the awareness of light. Because out of all of the things and actions that you can portray in a society that seems to support bad behavior sometimes, the best movies on television are what? Action movies. Things blow up, people fight, right? But when you carry and choose to embody the light, you pull on something much, much, much deeper. You pull on the awareness that I am going to do the most loving thing possible by leaving the world and the people that I encounter better than I found them. And that is sometimes a hard thing to do. It asks us to look past our animalistic tendencies. It asks us to look past selfishness, although selfishness isn't a bad thing unless we're talking self-centeredness. But it asks us to look past our meanness and ask about we. What can I do to impact the world? Well, it starts by taking care of my own yard, tilling the ground from which I'm planting, taking care of those that are in this house, this physical body, and then those that are around me, by sharing the light, by sharing alternative news, by sharing the God spell, which is the gospel. It's the good news. Yes, this is going on in the world. Yes, this is happening. Yes, these are the things that I'm uncomfortable with and feel about. But my question to all of those and myself who carry that kind of vocabulary is, what good is happening in your life? What are the things in your life that are going right? You know, who's doing well? What are the parts of yourself or your life that are doing well? Because the gossip, the frustration, the argument, all of those things that tend to come up in society, which is actually normal, but they don't have to be the main theme of the hour. To quote Myrtle Fillmore in honor of Women's History Month in her How to Let God Help You, she says, starting off, I would like to come in like a wonderful grandmother. I would like to come in and have a talk with you. Let us put aside all of our discussion, the things that make us feel some kind of way, quote unquote, and remind us that God is not all in all. In other words, can we create an opportunity where light can come into our lives, where levity and lightness and laughter can come into our lives in spite of? The sacred text says we walk by faith and not by sight. There's an old Unity hymn, I will leave this world as it is. Go inside to find my God. Inside there is peace, inside there is joy. Inside there is sacred love. And Felicia Rashad reiterated that same sort of consciousness where she says, all you have to do to find out that you are enough, all you have to do in order to find that light, all you have to do in order to find that joy is to look inside.
Yes.
When the stuff that shows up externally is ugly, find the beauty inside. And you can see the beauty inside when you look for it, because what you look for is exactly what you see. You know?
Yes.
Think about this famous thought experiment. Close your eyes and imagine the color red. Sit for a second and open your eyes and mentally call out every red object you see. Drums, right? Did anybody notice the color black originally? Because you were looking for red. So we only see what we are looking for. So spiritual work asks us to look deep inside to get attuned with a higher vibration, with something different, because we can't just be one-trick ponies, horses, however the joke goes. There is more to you than the things that meet the eye. There is more to you than the complaints. So when we turn within to our practices and let them touch us and we touch them, something blossoms out of the frustration. Not weeds, but wonderful, beautiful flowers. It makes you wonder how our spiritual ancestors, although we don't bear the physical burdens that they bear, we have our own set of emotional labor. How is it that they were able to provide for themselves, take care of their families, and continue to have children in spite of the odds that they were facing? It's because they were tuned into something different. Taking the bypass is refusing to look at the world at all. But when you only look and see the things outside of you, what do you have to compare it against? You know, just a kind of a real conversation today. So we turn to our practices so that they could change our mind. In the Greek New Testament, they call it metanoia. Say this with me, metanoia. It's what they associate with repentance, but it means a change of mind, which causes eventually a change of behavior. What gives you the power and the strength to change circumstances is your willingness to change yourself. It's to tune into something else. You feed yourself something that's beneficial for your soul. Instead of being force-fed the fear, doubt, limitation, worry, scarcity, not enoughness that comes at us as a result of us being in the world. Because although we don't live in a jungle per se, there are concrete jungles all around us. There are jungles of ideas, and sometimes we're not even sure what to believe because everything is fake or everything is fact. But spirituality gives you even more empowerment because it tunes you into something real that's unchangeable. Something that you can sort of wrap your hands around. Foundational truths that you can raise your family up with, where you can teach your family that yes, humanity can behave in certain ways that makes you want to, but there is goodness in the world, and you have to see it as such in order to participate in this thing that we call life, because once you adopt a different philosophy, you take the version of life, L-I-V-E, and it inverts itself and becomes E-V-I-L. And you contribute to the very thing you were trying to get away from. Oh, the world is bad. Oh, it's all bad. This one's bad. This one's bad. They're doing this. They're doing that. And the very thing that you are pointing out, you become. So at some point, other than Sunday morning, we engage in various practices to give ourselves a place of respite, to find refuge in something else. The psalmist says like this, I will lift up mine eyes to the hills from which cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. Lord, life, the divine feminine, nature, goddess, wherever your help and your support comes from. This is how you let the light in. Whatever you turn your attention towards is what feeds and sustains you. My invitation is that you turn towards the light. Turn towards joy. See the world as it is, but then you need a space and a place within yourself and within your life, Monday through Saturday, where you can be empowered so that you can have the skills, the mental capacity, the consciousness to bring that energy from there out here and make the world as best as it can be. And it's a labor of love that we do all of the time. And when we seek to do this kind of work, we unite with the presence that is never an absence called God. There is a wisdom quote, I don't know who said it, and it says that the reason why we can't hear the GPS is because we're moving in the right direction. Our GPS is often silent until we make a mistake. And sometimes we can't quite hear the presence of God as we're moving through life because we are moving in the right direction. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, thou art with me. In other words, it's okay. We got this. The mystic Paul, we are now surrounded by a cloud of witnesses. If you have to experience difficulty, at least know that you are not by yourself.
That's right.
Because that feeling of being by yourself supports that learned helplessness that we have sometimes as individuals that creeps up on us at 3 o'clock in the morning or early in the morning when we first get up. It's like, oh man, me, the world, my body, everything is so overwhelming. But then you take care of yourself, brush your teeth, wash your face and everything else, hopefully. Get dressed and move out into the world. And that action of washing and cleaning yourself ritualizes letting go of all of those things that don't serve you, recognizing that they are just a normal process of being alive. Yes, sometimes you will stink. That's why you wash. It's a normal process of being alive, but you do the things you need to do, which allows the light to come in. You prepare yourself and then move out into the world. You become a force for good. Because again, the things that we turn our attention to, they feed us and we become forces for them. The stories that we tell over and over and over and over and over and over again, they become our mantras. So before you know it, we become de facto news reporters spreading the gospel of ignorance, spreading the gospel of anxiousness, spreading the gospel of worry, the gospel of fear. And that's all fine and good, but let 75% of your conversation be geared towards something that's actionable, something that's measurable, something that you can actually do that would invite change. Then your life becomes an embodiment of social activism, where the presence of God, the presence of life can move through you to make the world a better place. Because after all, if God, the goddess, nature, the divine presence, the universe is going to do anything, it's going to do it through willing vessels, through these hands, through these feet. Or in the words of Johnny Coleman, when you pray, move your feet. But you must do that first. Spiritual people, as I always say, get beat up. Why y'all pray all the time? I'm tired of thoughts and prayers. No, you need me to pray. Because I need to align my mind, because the things that I want to do initially, I don't need to do that. That's not going to contribute to the betterment of mankind. I need to pray. I need to center myself. I need to find that center, then center myself and anchor myself in something called love, and anchor myself in something called light. And then I can move out into the world and be a force for good. You can wrap services around the planet, to use a social work term. That's why we do this, of coming together. We wrap spiritual services around each other, because your spiritual practice and your theology should contribute to personal wellness. So no doom and gloom, no toxicity here, but positivity, stuff that you can sink your teeth in, stuff that you can actually do that will help you to go out to the world and be better and make others better. Real quick, before we wrap up, I want to tell you a quick story to ground this in a spiritual story. The book of Genesis, everybody remembers. 3rd chapter, 6th verse. I want to focus your attention on a woman that we call Eve. Oh, everybody remembers that story. All kind of things surface in your consciousness about that story. But what if I told you that what you heard about Eve was not correct? In honor of Women's History Month, I'm going to set Eve free on this morning. In fact, Eve wasn't even her real name. Spiritual teachers say that translation is commentary. Most of the time we get it wrong. The reason why we have the name Eve more than likely is because when Jerome translated or helped translate the Latin Vulgate, he couldn't pronounce the name Chava. So the Cha became softened and it became Eva, where we get the term Eve. But Chava means life, because she was in fact the mother of all living. Wasn't taken out of the side of the womb of Adam, because if we use the name Eve, we see Eve as being present with God on the third day, and evening and morning was the third day. So the mother, the womb, the creation, the creatrix of life has always been present. Her name means life, and it also means creativity. Real quick, you want some metaphysics. Metaphysics in Jewish mysticism is called midrash. Everybody say midrash. And it's a mystical practice that has been going on for centuries. Unity calls it metaphysics or maiutics, but it's the process of looking at words to see their deeper meaning. And midrash is also assigning a number to a word. Chava has a V or a va in it. That V is the number 6. The presence of God, life, is called chaya, meaning life, like Etz Hayim, tree of life. That Yah, that Y in it, that's a Yud. Everybody say Yud. Yeah. That's a 10. 10 minus 6 is 4. When you add a mystical D in Hebrew, that's the Dalet, to her name, Chava, it becomes Kedva. So her name goes from being the mother of life, creation, to the embodiment of joy, which is what happens to us when we add joy into our lives. Our lives blossom and we become one with God. And that oneness brings stuff to us. Like in Genesis 3 and 6, where she challenged her theology. That's speaking to the voice of God. God says, don't eat from that tree, but she challenges her theology, which is what we have to do. We have to put pressure on our churches, put pressure on our ministers, and make them tell us truths that can actually work. That I am more than just the lack, limitation, scarcity, not enoughness that people preach on Sunday mornings. That I am more than that same garbage that they preach on the news. Eve was more than that. She was the mother of life and the mother of living. 3 and 6, Genesis 3 and 6 says, Eve took of the tree because it was beautiful to the eyes and good for food. She ate and gave to her husband. In other words, the presence of life, the presence of joy, the mother of living, divine nature is always trying to give us stuff. And sometimes we don't oftentimes get the message. Well, this morning, I want us to hear the message that the trees and the truths that are out there in life, from the root to the fruit, that they are beautiful. And when we open our minds and allow our hearts to become tender, they can feed us and nurture us and change us for the better. Our theology will change. How we look at God will change. How we see people will change. And this is how the light gets in, folks, when we allow ourselves to be open. So my closing invitation on this week is that you go out into the world, allow yourself to be open, let new opportunities come to you, even if there are things you have not seen or experienced before. And the wisdom and the knowledge and the life and the joy from those experiences, it's going to change you for the better and make you stronger. Do y'all believe that?
Yes.
Thank you for listening. Peace and blessings. Our offering, for those that tune in online, remember to log on to unitybham.org and click on giving. Those that give in-house, our ushers are making their way forward to collect the offering. Take it away, LaDonna.
Safely through
together one more time. Bless the offering. We're still going around, but say this with me. We bless this offering. Affirming it will be used for the building of this ministry. We bless the givers. We declare their gifts will return back to them with good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. And so it is. Put your hands together one more time.
Again, everybody stand for the peace song. The light of God surrounds us.
I am the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us.
I am the love of God.
The power of God protects us.
I am the power of God.
The presence of God watches over us.
I am the presence of God.
Wherever we are, God is.
Wherever I am, God is, and all is well.
Yes, yes.